don't get anywhere.
Well, sure you do. If you have enough ambition and you never stop trying.
Yeah, except your career was born in a station that has died.
There's gotta be a way. There's gotta be a way to beat the ratings game.
Yeah, PROMAX. That's it. PROMAX can make me a winner.
I know I'm gonna make it. I can't fail. Gonna grab the world and shake it by the tail.
You're in the mailroom, kid, where life's 22 cents an ounce.
I'm gonna go see the GM, 'cause I got what counts.
Do you have an appointment?
No, but I need to see him.
I'm sorry. He's being sick.
Why?
Because our ratings suck.
Why?
I don't know. That's not my job.
Well, gee, Miss Goodbody, it doesn't have to be that way.
Why?
I got the answer. It was in the mail today.
What?
We can beat the ratings game. PROMAX will give us the tools and ideas and inspiration we need to win.
Kid, I've had my eye on you. I know I can rely on you. I like the way you say you play the ratings game for keeps. I'd really like to see you do a number in the sweeps.
Sweeps?
He has some good ideas to get our station off our bottom.
That's right, Mr. Large. I got him and I brought him. Watch this.
Think of how long you've lived here. Think of how well you know your neighborhood. How long you've driven these streets. That's how long we've been here, too. So long, we know exactly where to go and precisely who to call to get to the heart of the stories that matter to you. Because when you've worked in the area as long as we have, it's not just your beat, it's your home. KYW News, working together to give you coverage you can count on. Think of all the towns in Pennsylvania, in New Jersey, in Delaware. Think of all the city blocks, the town squares, the back alleys, back roads, backyards. It takes a huge team of reporters to cover that much territory. That's why KYW News Radio and KYW TV have joined forces, so you can count on more people covering more of your neighborhood. Whether your neighborhood is made of bricks and mortar or earth and sky. KYW News, working together to give you coverage you can count on.
Frank Rizzo has collapsed from a heart attack.
Think of all the events that are etched in your memory.
Shall resign the presidency.
The Eagle has landed. It's one small step.
The wins.
The troops are arriving home.
The losses.
Challenger, go and throttle up.
Is there a doctor?
The tragedies. The victories.
Bricks and the mortar keep coming. The Phillies have won the World Series.
Now, think of the man you could count on to cover them all. Larry Kane. He's always been there for you. And he's there for you now. Every weeknight at 11 on KYW3.
And Larry Kane.
Count on him to cover it. Count on him to care about it.
When our news director here at Channel 11 told us to put a face on every story, I said, Dave, how am I going to personalize a cold front? But he said weather isn't only about rainstorms and heat waves. It's about farmers dealing with drought. It's keeping families safe from a hurricane. It's learning how to protect our environment. And even if most of what I do is tell folks about the weather, you've got to keep those people in mind when you do it.
11 News, not just the news, the spirit of Texas.
Every night at Channel 11, it's our job to tell people what's happened to their world, and sometimes to their neighbors.
And whether the news is good or bad, we always try to put a face on every story.
To us, that means looking behind the facts to find the people involved and the people affected.
So if our news seems to be a little more human,
maybe it's because it really is.
11 News, not just the news, the spirit of Texas.
A good reporter can never afford to forget that news is really about people.
That's why at Channel 11 we try to put a face on every story.
Most of the time, that simply means looking a little harder for the issues that affect you and your family.
But just as often, it means realizing that most issues also affect us.
11 News, not just the news, the spirit of Texas.
At 6 o'clock, Channel 11 News gives you a choice for investigative reports. I-Team 11's dedicated team of investigative reporters follows the stories you suggest, blowing the whistle on government waste and red tape, confronting businesses doing your family wrong, informing you of scams on the rise in your neighborhood. When you make your choice for a 6 o'clock newscast, consider I-Team 11 investigative reports on Channel 11 News at 6. At 6 o'clock, Channel 11 News gives you a choice for Dennis Bowman's Carnegie Science Center weather, developing your hometown forecast from right here in Pittsburgh, making it accurate and easy to understand, focusing on your neighborhood, warning you about severe weather ahead. When you make your choice for a 6 o'clock newscast, consider Dennis Bowman's Carnegie Science Center weather on Channel 11 News at 6. More news, more often.
At 6 o'clock, Channel 11 News gives you a choice for neighborhood news. Our neighborhood newsreel tells you about good things happening in your neighborhood, showing you how your town is growing, keeping you informed about what's new at school, saluting people who care enough to make a difference in your neighborhood. When you make your choice for a 6 o'clock newscast, consider the neighborhood newsreel on Channel 11 News at 6 with Chris Long and Peggy Finnegan.
4 years ago, we started Channel 11 News First at 5 to bring you the very latest local news, 1 hour earlier to fit your busy schedule.
We've made First at 5 our premier newscast, filled with the latest breaking news, the top local stories and lots of them, as well as weather from your local neighborhood.
Channel 11 News First at 5. We're the local newscast dedicated to covering your local news.
It's what we've been.
And what will always be. Channel 11 News First at 5. More news.
More often.
Channel 11 News First at 5. It's the name of our newscast, but it's also the way the Channel 11 News team works to bring you the news. First at 5. When late-breaking news hits, our news team hits the streets, gets the details, brings them to you, fast, accurately, and first at 5. Channel 11 News First at 5. We're the local newscast dedicated to covering late-breaking news. Channel 11 News First at 5. More news, more often.
At Channel 11 News First at 5, you told us that you wanted more stories about your neighborhood. That's why we've made neighborhood news coverage a top priority. We've developed exclusive partnerships to get us into the neighborhoods like no other newscast can. With the Radio News Network, Newspaper Exchange, and Neighborhood Weather Net, we're the local newscast dedicated to covering neighborhood news. Channel 11 News First at 5. More news, more often.
Our roots run deep through these towns, neighborhoods, and streets. So does our pride. Around here, you build respect with hard work and a job well done. You communicate with honesty and directness. build a better place to live by working together. News 4, working for you. There is a way to make a difference here. $1, one helping hand, one heart.
Can you smile?
And together, we can work miracles. News 4, working for you. It's not what you do, it's how you work. Every detail builds readiness. Every word leads to understanding. Every person works together. Every day. News 4, working for you.
Morning in Baltimore comes up so clear. Country's so lovely, the harbor so near. The world keeps on changing, we're changing too. Working for Baltimore, working for you.
There's a telephone that local government officials pick up to put into motion snow removal operations that cost thousands of dollars an hour. And the meteorologist those officials rely on to give them the go-ahead is WLNE's Steve Cascione. This is not the Channel 6 you thought you knew. The Emmy Award for Top News Anchor in New England didn't go to the largest TV station in the region, and it didn't go to the TV station with the slickest news. The Emmy for Top News Anchor in New England went to the top news anchor in New England, WLNE's Pam Watts. This is not the Channel 6 you thought you knew. Imagine if the government had a hotline where you could call in complaints about tax spending.
My tax money shouldn't be going on.
Well, the government doesn't have such a hotline, but Channel 6 does, and it's called You Paid For It. So if you call us, we'll see that the government hears about it. This is not the Channel 6 you thought you knew.
Beyond the headlines, there are stories about people. Behind the facts, there are emotions to be sought out. To truly understand the news that affects your life, you have to see it for yourself. There's no better place to see what's happening in your world today than on 13 News at 6, the spirit of Hampton Roads.
Sa isang himpilan lamang. Lahat ng pangalang iginagalang at pinagkakatiwalaan. Broadcast journalism at its best. GMA News and Public Affairs. The only team you can trust.
Let's not a single hair. In fire.
Pro7 Nachrichten, 5 vor 8. Täglich.
Fox 25 News at 10.
People
ask me, how can they take a newscast seriously from the same station that brings you The Simpsons?
I say, you're smart. You watch The Simpsons or Melrose, but then it's time for news.
Fox 25 News at 10 is all the news you need, along with a Fox First Forecast by 10:10, sports, entertainment, and an eye for what's new with Fox FYI.
It's Fox. It's news.
Fox 25 News at 10. News when, where, and how you want it. News. Direct and to the point. That's Fox 25 News at 10. Seasoned reporters, a flair for what's new, hunger for the story. Plus the Fox First Forecast by 10:10. Fox FYI to help you stay ahead. Sports and entertainment. Fox 25 News at 10. News when, where, and how you want it.
Somebody has finally figured out a better way to do TV news. Since the dawn of man, local stations have done local news and networks have done national news. Local news here, national news there. Which means you've been a slave to somebody else's schedule. You know, if you don't rush right home after work, the only story left by the time you get there is the one about that squirrel on water skis. And that's not news. If he's driving the boat, that's news. But thankfully, News Channel 3 has come up with a solution. Good Evening Arizona. Flip it on anytime between 5 and 6:30 p.m. and get this, you're never more than 15 minutes away from CNN World News and Arizona's big stories on News Channel 3. Imagine that. World, national, and local news commingling, like a zesty salsa of information all mixed together in one delicious serving. Take away even one element and all you have left is that pre-recorded bottled news from New York City. New York City! So go ahead, dip your chip into our fresh, new Good Evening Arizona on News Channel 3. Just don't spill any on your shirt.
News Channel 3 proudly announces a few new faces on the evening news.
Riley says this nation is in need of...
Marina Mirabella, CNN, Salvador, Brazil.
The CNN, Sarajevo.
I'm Terry Keenan at the New York Stock Exchange.
These are the faces of CNN, the most respected name in television news. And now CNN joins News Channel 3. Worldwide live coverage, anytime, anywhere. A world of news comes home, even without cable. CNN on News Channel 3.
It's easy as 1, 2.
Now more than ever.
12's the one that cuts through.
What could be simple?
Yeah, NBC is who you turn to.
Grab that clicker, then 1, 2, ha!
So just set it, forget it, you won't regret it.
For your favorite shows and the news.
It's easy as 1, 2.
NBC and Arizona's news station.
It's easy as 1, 2.
Easy as 1, 2. Take 1.
It's easy as 1,
2.
No, not 2. 1,
What?
2. It's as easy as
1.
2. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I thought
See
I
how
was
easy
doing
it
as.
is?
The 2. 1, 2.
1,
Yeah.
2. 1,
Yeah, okay.
2. 1.
Okay. It's as easy as
1.
2.
What?
2 is not an easy number to me.
See?
No. It's as easy as
1.
2. That was easy.
It's easy as 1, 2.
It's Willard at 7 a.m. right after Ron and Connie.
And it's Sean.
Willard, this is my brother Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Sean, this is Willard Scott.
Good to see you.
I'm Scene, he's Sean.
He's seen. He's
Sean Scene.
seen. Sean. Gotcha.
It's Willard at 7 a.m.
And it's Spleen. It's seen at 5, 6, and 10.
And it's Wilbur at 7 a.m.
Your number 1 and 2 weather guys.
Seven News presents the Newsplex. The 7 Newsplex, the largest news gathering facility in local television. The 7 Newsplex. Literally thousands of stories from all over the world come into the 7 Newsplex every single day. The 7 Newsplex. It's about news gathering, cutting-edge medical breakthroughs, revealing investigative reports, and it's about interactive television news. The 7 Newsplex from South Florida's news station.
Carolyn Montalbano is a woman that I met 2 years ago, and this is a story that's really become part of my life. Her sons have been missing ever since 1991. Her ex-husband left with them and never came back. She looks for them every day, and she never loses hope. She's helped other parents to locate their children, and I hope I can be there the day when she gets to hold her boys again.
Then and now, the Channel 5 News, Chicago's best news.
The Goodyear investigation was a story that needed to be done. When we heard that people might be getting ripped off, we had to check it out. We took 3 cars, put them in top running condition, put heating cameras in the engines, and some Goodyear stores sold us unnecessary repairs. Goodyear has changed its sales policy nationwide. At least one Goodyear shop is boarded up today because of our story. We were able to make a difference for the consumers that watch Channel 5.
Then and now, the Channel 5 News, Chicago's best news.
In a real sense, talking to the ordinary people was what that story was really about. This was truly a victory of the little guy. When they hoisted the South African flag, there was this just jubilation out in the streets. It was a very uplifting time, not only for the South Africans, but also for much of Chicago. You felt like if these people can do this, then we can do anything in the world.
Then and now, the Channel 5 News, Chicago's best news.
3 o'clock in the morning. Not much is happening at the Transco Tower. Not much is going on at the Dome. But if you think the whole town's sleeping, you haven't been over to Annette's house. You see, Annette Gonzalez anchors 11 News this morning with Terry Elliott and Mario Gomez. And getting up early is the only way they can bring you Houston's most comprehensive morning newscast. So get some sleep. Annette will make sure everything's covered in the morning. 11 News, not just the news, the spirit of Texas. 3 o'clock in the morning. Not much is happening at the Galleria. Not much is going on at the Summit. But if you think the whole town's sleeping, you haven't been over to Terry's house. You see, Terry Elliott anchors 11 News this morning with Annette Gonzalez and Mario Gomez. And getting up early is the only way they can bring you Houston's most comprehensive morning newscast. So get some sleep. Terry will make sure everything's covered in the morning. 11 News, not just the news, the spirit of Texas. 3 o'clock in the morning. Not much is happening at City Hall. Not much traffic on 59. But if you think the whole town's sleeping, you haven't been over to Mario's house. You see, Mario Gomez anchors 11 News this morning with Terry Elliott and Annette Gonzalez. And getting up early is the only way they can bring you Houston's most comprehensive morning newscast. So get some sleep. Mario will make sure everything's covered in the morning. 11 News, not just the news, the spirit of Texas.
It's 5:30 in the morning. Is anybody up yet? There's no sleeping in the nation's capital. The gloves are off. Washington is changing, and so is the way you get your news. Starting January 9th, Channel 9 introduces Washington's one and only 5:30 local morning news. Your first look at overnight world and local news with Mac Lee and Carolyn Presutti. Your first weather report with Topper Shutt, and your first traffic outlook with Stacy Bin. Everything you need to start smarter. Wake up to the experience of the news people. Mac Lee, Carolyn Presutti, Topper Shutt, and Stacy Bin on Eyewitness News at 5:30 a.m. starting January 9th on Channel 9. We're getting down to business earlier because you are. It's 5:30 in the morning. Is anybody up yet? Washington is changing, and so is the way you get your morning news. Starting January 9th, Channel 9 introduces Washington's one and only 5:30 local morning news. Your first look at overnight world and local news, traffic and weather. Everything you need to start smarter. Eyewitness News at 5:30 a.m. with Mac Lee, Carolyn Presutti, Topper Shutt, and Stacy Bin. Starting January 9th on Channel 9.
when they focus on your fear,
I don't like to watch the news anymore.
when all you see is blood and gore,
If you show me blood, that's violence. And that's what I don't need.
when you don't feel safe in your own home,
I find myself getting more paranoid about crime.
isn't it time to switch to 6?
I commend you for leading in the fight against the media hype on crime and violence.
Take a stand against violence. Choose the alternative. 6 Action News. When you're repulsed by the violence,
The blood, the gore, the body parts. Talking about it gives me goosebumps.
when you feel manipulated and abused,
They exploit violence, they exploit getting people to watch the news.
when you can't bear to watch anymore,
When do they say, enough is enough?
isn't it time to switch to 6?
Thank you for your courageous stand against crime and violence.
Take a stand against violence. Choose the alternative. 6 Action News. When you're tired of being assaulted by violence,
At news time, we need the facts.
when you're sick of sensationalism,
I think we're overdoing it. I'm scared a lot.
when you want solutions, not just problems,
We don't need to be told again and again how bad things are in Miami.
isn't it time to switch to 6?
You've created a really unique niche. You've separated Channel 6 from all the rest.
Take a stand against violence. Choose the alternative. 6 Action News.
Ever notice how some news stories are more interesting than others? They're the ones that hit home, the ones that affect you, your family, your neighbors. I think that's what separates News 10's coverage from the usual news fare. Does the story mean something to you? Does it affect your life? That's what makes a story interesting. And every day, that's what makes it worthwhile to watch News 10.
So the governor vetoes the latest bill that hits his desk, or your local school board passes a new resolution. Is it that big of a deal? Of course it is, if you're affected by that bill or that resolution. I think that's what makes the difference between ordinary coverage and a really interesting news story. How does it affect you? How does it affect your neighbors? Those are the questions we ask, and every night it's the answers to those questions that make it worthwhile to watch News 10.
There are two basic ways to cover the news, and they're very different from each other. One is from an institutional perspective.
That's the point of view news programs take when they focus on government officials and heads of corporations.
They talk about what they've done, how they feel about it.
You hear a lot about official positions on issues. You see a lot of public relations people at press conferences and a lot of politicians in their offices.
The other way to cover the news is from the people perspective. The stories are told from kitchen tables, in front yards, and at church meetings.
This kind of newscast reports on how the news affects real folks like you and me, and in turn how we can influence the events happening around us.
It's the kind of reporting that empowers people to improve their world.
There's a big difference in the way news gets covered, and if you prefer your news from a people perspective, the place to get it is News 10.
News 10. It's all about people.
A really good news story generates emotion.
An even better one moves you to action.
But then what? What if you're upset with what you've learned?
What if you want to support or oppose an issue?
Well, how do you do that?
This is where News 10 is different. We show you how to get involved in the news that affects your life.
So no matter how you feel about the issue, you have the information to do something about it.
News 10. It's all about people.
Wednesday, take a look at the new look of Channel 2 News, featuring all new cutting-edge weather forecast technology with Al Fogelman and Doppler 2 Weather, and introducing Sports Tonight with Jim Conrad, Denver's only in-depth nightly sports show. It's the respected, determined, award-winning news that you've come to expect, with a style, look, and feel all its own. So next Wednesday, when you check out the WB, stick around and rediscover Channel 2 News. Denver's 2 is putting sports in the spotlight. Introducing Sports Tonight with Jim Conrad. Denver's only extended nightly wrap-up on the day in sports. That means more scores, more highlights, more coverage than anyone else. So beginning Wednesday, catch Channel 2 News at 9 o'clock. And now Sports Tonight at 9:45. It's a new kind of newscast. And that's great news. Sports Tonight, beginning Wednesday. Take a look at the new look of Channel 2 News with Dave Young and Beverly Weaver. It's Denver's first and only 9 o'clock news, now featuring state-of-the-art, up-to-the-minute weather forecast technology with Al Fogelman and Doppler 2 Weather. It's a new kind of newscast with a style, look, and feel all its own. So tonight at 9, we discover an all-new Channel 2 News.
From early morning till late at night, News 4 is working for you. And now News 4 is working even harder to bring you the news when you need it. Introducing News 4 at 4 o'clock. No fluff, no chit-chat, no nonsense. The newscast you've come to expect at 4:30, now expanded to a full hour. News as it's happening. News 4 at 4. From early till late. And now even more news throughout the day. News 4 at 4. Working for you. It's the news you need.
I just want the facts.
The straight news, it sounds good.
When you need it.
Well, I like to see the live stuff is more like it.
Introducing News 4 at 4 o'clock.
Channel 4, I know will have it, and they'll have more details.
No fluff, no chit-chat, no nonsense.
Well, that's what I like 4, because there's none of that nonsense.
It's right to the point.
Everything you like about News 4 at 4:30, now expanded to a full hour.
She used to watch Channel 9. Yeah, I like 4 better.
News 4 at 4 with Jim Handley. Working for you. When something's working, you go with it. First, News 4 Today expanded to a full hour, and you made it Washington's highest-rated morning news. And when we launched News 4 at 4:30, your response was overwhelming. In this tradition of success, we proudly introduce News 4 at 4 o'clock. No fluff, no chit-chat, no nonsense. The straightforward newscast you like at 4:30, now expanded to a full hour. News 4 at 4 with Jim Handley. Working for you.
Chicago. We'll see you in the morning, starting September 6th. It's morning in Chicago, and you hit the ground running. We know you've got a busy morning. Shoes to tie, lunches to pack. That's why starting September 6th, WGN brings you a new way to get the information you want in the morning. The latest from Chicago overnight, up-to-the-minute weather for today and tomorrow, and the lowdown on your morning commute. After you're up, but before you're off and running. WGN Morning News. Wake up to a new morning. Starting September 6th at 7. This September, there's a new morning coming to Chicago. A new way to get the information you want as you start your day. WGN Morning News. With the latest from Chicago overnight, up-to-the-minute weather for today and tomorrow. And the lowdown on your morning commute. A full hour of local news, weather, and traffic after you're up, but before you're off and running. WGN Morning News. Wake up to a new morning. Starting September 6th at 7.
The faces. The places. The stories that touched us in '94. At Channel 4 News, it's a time to reflect on what was and what may be. Pictures. In a world filled with so much news, pictures act as notes in a melody, weaving the moments into the memories of our life. Images. Those unforgettable images recorded by our cameras. They're etched in our minds, and all seen right here. The events that shape us, memories that haunt us, acts that move us. From triumph to tragedy, Channel 4 News has covered it all. And as we look toward the promise of a new year, we'll continue to set the standard of coverage you've come to expect. Channel 4 News, where the news comes first.
The Fox 5 News Team, first on the streets.
A very intense situation out here.
There's been a tragic accident.
First on the story.
We want to just find out what happened.
This is a breaking story. It's unfolding even as we're here.
The door opened, and then there was that fiery blast.
First on the air. Watch the 10 o'clock news. New York's #1 primetime news. Get it first on Fox.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. How are you doing? I'm calling on behalf of the new News Channel 2 weekend show. I'm thinking if you could possibly proclaim the weekend of September 3rd and 4th as News Channel 2 weekend.
Absolutely.
So you just, like, walk out in the morning and proclaim?
News Channel 2 Weekend Morning News. If the mayor's into it, imagine what he can do for you. Check it out. Premiering next Saturday and Sunday morning at 9.
There's only one other thing. There is a pothole in front of my house the size of Barney.
Potholes are my business. National Aquarium in Baltimore Rainforest.
I'm calling about the News Channel 2 Weekend Morning News. You have birds up there. Can they be trained?
Well, some of the parrots can be trained to some degree.
Well, if you could get them to do this, just like, weekend. How about, like, morning?
News Channel 2 Weekend Morning News. It's a jungle out there, so let us make your weekend a little easier. Check it out. Premiering next Saturday and Sunday morning at 9.
Do you like my ideas? You're laughing.
They're definitely unusual.
Ah.
Working on the night beat. 10. It's a combination of skill, drive, and compassion, excitement, and accuracy. They earn your eyes every night. 10. The Night Beat on the one and only 10.
The evolution of information dissemination. 30 minutes of news at 10. Tonight.
He's been kicked out.
Why don't you answer some questions about this, huh?
Locked out.
Are these fake insurance cards, Mr. Park?
And even spit at.
This man spit like that, right?
But that doesn't stop Shame on You's Arnold Diaz.
Is that ethical for an attorney to take a loan from his client?
He blows the whistle on the scams and uncovers the cons.
Just have a couple of questions.
There's 13 grams of fat in one of these
Do you think what you're doing is right?
And he doesn't wait for an invitation. Shame on You with Arnold Diaz. He did it first and does it best. Only on Channel 2 News.
There's nothing like being there when news is happening, breaking a big story, getting that crucial interview, being on the scene when news unfolds. That's what makes a newsroom come alive. And now you can be there. Introducing News 4 at 4:30. It's news in the making. No fluff, no chit-chat, no nonsense. Just the newscast you trust with the most important news of the day. News 4 at 4:30 with Jim Handley, working for you.
It's the news you need.
No, I just want the facts.
Straight news, it sounds good.
When you need it.
Well, I like to see the live stuff is more like it.
Introducing News 4 at 4 o'clock.
Channel 4, I know will have it, and they'll have more details.
No fluff, no chit-chat, no nonsense.
So that's why I like 4, because there's none of that nonsense.
It's right to the point.
Everything you like about News 4 at 4:30, now expanded to a full hour.
She used to watch Channel 9. Yeah, I like 4 better.
News 4 at 4 with Jim Handley, working for you. When something's working, you go with it. First, News 4 Today expanded to a full hour, and you made it Washington's highest-rated morning news. And when we launched News 4 at 4:30, your response was overwhelming. In this tradition of success, we proudly introduce News 4 at 4 o'clock. No fluff, no chit-chat, no nonsense. The straightforward newscast you like at 4:30, now expanded to a full hour. News 4 at 4 with Jim Handley, working for you.
News 4 Utah is in your city,
A massive
town,
search is underway.
community. When news happens across Utah, when it impacts you, News 4 Utah. North, south, east, west. We do what it takes to bring news home to you. For the best local coverage, turn to News 4 Utah.
You're a bunch of
Mask up, partner.
When it happens on the island.
I am terrified because there's some...
When it affects your world.
We're here reporting live on Blanchard Street where Victoria...
When you need to know now.
The worst thing you can do is turn and run.
When you can't get it anywhere else. You turn to the news that's close to home. The RCMP in Sydney are investigating an explosives... Immediate.
This next report gives us a story that comes...
Award-winning.
And the good news tonight is that...
Local. Check 6. News that hits close to home.
Live at 5.
Not telling people how to think.
It's a lot of fun.
Being a mother, now I notice everything.
Often we'll be talking about things that you can do in your life, issues, again, news you can use, that sort of thing. But of course, we'll be the first newscast of the evening. If there's a big news story, we'll have it there, of course.
Journalist reporters are like coffee filters. You put all this stuff in the top and sift down, and hopefully what you end up with is a cup of something you can digest.
It's live. We know that. It's live. It's 5.
5.
Therefore, live at 5.
Live at 5.
All right.
Makes sense.
See, it's already different.
Wait.
But it's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of people, and you learn so much.
We've got something here locally that matters to you and might change your life.
A lot of news, a lot of diversity. I'm a child of television.
You got some good one-liners.
Beverly covered the United Nations, and they're still united. My mother said he watched TV, and one day he just climbed in.
Tampa Bay News, beginning December 12th. Tampa Bay News, beginning December 12th. Tampa Bay News, beginning December 12th.
10 stands for San Diego.
We don't just wait for the story, we go out and get the story. Our exclusive investigations get you behind the scenes, in their face.
I'm busy right now, I really can't talk with you.
And under their skin.
More company here in San Diego.
When I finish with you, I'm gonna be a rich TV star.
Hard-hitting, intense. No one brings it to you like 10 News.
10 stands for San Diego. 10 stands for news. Stands for San Diego.
We get in their face, under their skin.
I really can't talk with you.
Whatever it takes to tell you what's really going on.
We take you up close, to the heart and the guts of a story.
This fire is smoky again.
With the only full-time news helicopter in town.
When big news breaks, you turn to us first because you know we're out there getting it first.
You can see what happened.
Every story, every day.
10 stands for San Diego. 10 stands for news. 10 stands for San Diego.
Sky 10, San Diego's only full-time news helicopter. Sky 10, right here at the station, always ready to fly. When news breaks, we take you there first.
This fire is smoky again.
Know what other stations do? They wait till the big story's already happening, then they call around and rent a helicopter. Why should you care? When they're on the phone, we're in the air.
10 stands for San Diego. 10 stands for news.
If you're on a busy schedule, you may not be able to stay up for the 11 o'clock news. That's why News Channel 13's 11 at 11 is perfect for you. It's just what it says it is. All the top news, sports, and weather in 11 minutes at 11 o'clock. Doug Rafferty, Jeff Peterson, and Paul Cousins giving you 11 straight minutes of news, sports, and weather. Only on News Channel 13's 11 at 11.
What is 11 at 11?
It's News Channel 13's 11 o'clock news.
It's the day's most important events.
The most accurate weather information.
And the most exciting sports highlights.
In 11 minutes.
At 11 o'clock.
It's Doug Rafferty,
Paul Cousins,
and Jeff Peterson,
giving you an accurate account of the day's important events.
It's Earth Track Technology, forecasting how the weather will affect your life.
Covering the drama of all your favorite athletic competitions.
It's 11 at 11.
Just one more way News Channel 13 is watching out for you.
Exclusively on News 8, the third and final suspect in the Stephen Hall murder case is captured only by WVUE cameras. Tonight at 10.
The other suspect pointed the finger at you. Did you do it?
The dramatic end to the hunt for New Orleans' most wanted.
Did you shoot Stephen Hall?
Then, Harry Connick rolls the dice on a casino crackdown. How will it pay off at the polls? The political commentary of Clancy Dubose. Tonight at 10 on News 8, the one to watch. A Democratic stronghold, a Louisiana legacy, a career spanning more than 2 decades on Capitol Hill.
I will not seek re-election in 1996.
Tonight at 10 on News 8, J. Bennett Johnston's job is up for grabs, a political hot seat that the Republicans are dying to sit on. Could this be their chance? John Snell looks back at an extraordinary career and at the changing face of Louisiana politics. Tonight at 10 on News 8, the one to watch.
Nightfall, the mark of a day's end. For some, it marks the beginning of the most precious moments in life. Time where families can get together, share a laugh, or teach a lesson. It's moments like this when you realize just how valuable your time is. And nobody knows that better than News Channel 4 Primetime. We fit your life, and you'll like our style. Nightfall, the mark of a day's end. For some, it marks the beginning of the most precious moments in life. Time where families can get together, share a laugh, or read a story. It's moments like this when you realize just how valuable your time is. And nobody knows that better than News Channel 4 Primetime. We fit your life, and you'll like our style.
It started several years ago. It's nothing fancy, nothing formal. Just people getting together to share opinions. We call it 9 Listens, where you can tell us what you really think of 9 News. It's important to us because listening is the foundation of how we cover the news. Simply put, the news is what we hear from you.
In addition,
This is the sound of people listening.
their homes, and you have such power.
Sounds echoed from people like you.
I would like to see more positive reporting.
Our critics.
These are programs that are going to affect people.
Our news sources.
And this is why I'm here tonight.
Our direct contact with the community. We listen so we can do our jobs better.
Give us something that we can be proud of.
Because the news is what we hear from you.
Everyone has an opinion about sports, especially me. But I'd say 95% of my commentaries come from people who talk to me, either before or after a game. People like you. So I spend a lot of time listening, and I think that's important. You know, I worked with someone years ago who said, Ron, just listen to what people say. It was good advice, and I still try to follow it every day. Because at 9 News, the news is what we hear from you.
Tonight on News 10 at 6.
This rough winter weather is making it difficult to keep your car on the road. Just ask the dozens of drivers who lost control this morning.
Are the highway crews doing all they can to deal with the snow and ice? I'm Ron Plants. I'll have a live report.
Plus,
if you're worried about crime in your town or neighborhood, you'll want to know about news this afternoon from Washington. Where will Uncle Sam's money go, and will it help? I'm Gabe Daloff. Join us for all the news, live, local, and up to the minute on News 10 at 6.
Tonight on News 10 at 6.
Getting an abortion, now it's as easy as getting a shot from a needle. You'll see the story on News 10.
Medicine has been around since the 1940s, and I think the medicine is very safe.
I'm Wendy Wright. Rochester is among the first cities to test this controversial new method of abortion. Tonight, see for yourself a woman go through the process.
This is a kinder way to do it. It's an easier way. It's a better way.
I'm Janet Lomax. That story only on News 10 at 6, live, local, and up to the minute tonight.
Tonight on News 10 at 6.
Kodak CEO George Fisher talks one-on-one for the first time in a year, and it's only on News 10.
You can't lay off 800 people in Kodak Park without having some serious repercussions.
I'm Gabe Daloff at the Photo Marketing Association convention in Las Vegas. I had a conversation with Kodak CEO George Fisher about the future.
People are going to begin to see success.
I'm Janet Lomax. George Fisher talks one-on-one, live, local, and up to the minute tonight on News 10 at 6.
You may have noticed some changes recently at Channel 2 News. Changes in the stories that we cover and the way we cover them.
School board members use millions of your tax dollars for entertainment.
A promise to get action from our investigations.
A Harlem building finally has heat and hot water thanks in part to Channel 2 News.
A renewed commitment to making a difference in our reporting.
What kind of scam you running?
It's a change you asked for in the way you get your news.
After 2 months, Katie finally gets to go home.
It's a difference you'll see in every newscast. Experience the difference of Channel 2 News.
Time for the healing of the wounds has come.
New York City will again be the capital of the world.
Peace is attainable.
George Pataki is the next governor of the state of New York.
The 2 good cops that got caught up in an awful situation.
Some people thought they were going to die. People running on the railroad tracks.
This could be the final day of baseball.
Republicans will have control of both houses of Congress for
the U.S. troops here in Port-au-Prince could start taking casualties at any moment.
OJ, please surrender immediately.
The gunman turned a holy place into a killing field.
Before I die, I won't.
It's your world.
In Port-au-Prince, Haiti, in Brooklyn.
Live at City Hall.
Watch, understand, learn. Channel 2 News.
The original 10 o'clock news. All the news. One newscast with all the news you need in half the time. All the live, local, late-breaking stories. All the news. Fast-paced and to the point. The only prime-time half hour of news in half the time. This is the newscast designed for people who work for a living. All the news. The only newscast you need all day in half the time. The original 10 o'clock news. 44 News at 10. It's all the news in half the time.
No other television station in Arizona has made the commitment. Only Channel 10 News can make the promise. Arizona Prime. It's about Arizona people, Arizona issues, every weeknight at 9. From Channel 10 News, the largest electronic news gathering organization in the state, Arizona Prime. 1 full hour of local, in-depth, prime-time news. Don't miss Arizona Prime at 9. Only on Channel 10, tonight.
We must act.
Stupid is, stupid does.
My children are my life.
Absolutely 100% not guilty.
It's about time. Timely news. At the right time. 11 News at 5, 5:30, and 6. Followed by NBC Nightly News at 6:30, beginning Monday, September 5th. Our commitment to you is the same. But my, how times have changed. 11 News at 5, 5:30, and 6. Followed by NBC Nightly News at 6:30, beginning Monday, September 5th.
Every day, when we look at who we really are, when we study the lives of our children, and what we hope the future will bring to them, when we watch what we can do, when we set our minds to it, with humor, with the unmistakable energy of being young. When we watch what we can do with simple friendship, then we realize that what we're really watching is the story of our lives unfolding. News 4 Utah. It's about all of us. Every day, when we look at who we really are, when we look for harmony or the trust of a child, when we find the grace of wisdom and the comfort of friendship, we realize what we're really watching is the story of our lives unfolding. News 4 Utah. It's about all of us. Every day, when we look at who we really are, when we give an honest day's work, or find courage when we need it, when we witness the overwhelming power of the human heart, we realize what we're really watching is the story of our lives unfolding. News 4 Utah. It's about all of us.
Say you had some friends who didn't know anything about
South Florida, and say that the only way
for them to learn about our community was by watching local news.
You know what? They would probably think
the only thing that happens
around here is people getting shot, stabbed, killed.
Well, you and I know it's not like that.
So, why are they telling us that it is?
Don't be a victim of local news violence. Choose the less violent alternative. 6 Action News.
Now that 6 Action News has removed violent pictures from its broadcasts, it's putting something else back in. Maybe you remember seeing it on TV before. It's called Real News, with more investigations, more health and consumer reports, more searching for solutions to community issues. You see, when it comes to covering South Florida, we're balancing the scale to bring you a more balanced news. 6 Action News, taking action for you.
Every year, thousands of children become statistics, victims, not of knives, pills, or even guns, but of something you leave them with every day, something you trust.
In the news tonight, 3 murders.
Don't be a victim of local news violence. Choose the family-sensitive alternative, 6 Action News.
In a perfect world, people would conduct business honestly. Consumers would be treated fairly. Politicians would be trustworthy. And we wouldn't need investigative reporters like Andy Mahalchik and Pete Yatsik. The 28i team, only on 28 Eyewitness News.